fuck with my family, you die.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Backtrack Cinema. In this review, we'll be looking at the Steven Seagal classic, Marked for Death. So pop some popcorn, get some drinks, get comfy, and let's talk Marked for Death. Marked for Death was released in 1990, directed by Dwight H. Little, and starring Steven Seagal, Keith David, and Basil Wallace. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason, and thank you for tuning in to Backtrack Cinema, and thank you for joining me on the review of Marked for Death. But before we get going, let me know in the comments what you think about Marked for Death. Do you like it? Don't you like it? Is it your favorite Seagal movie? Let me know in the comments, and please let me know what your favorite Steven Seagal movie is. You know, guys, when we talk about Marked for Death, we're not talking about reinventing the action genre here. We're talking about Seagal movies, and Seagal in the late 80s, early 90s came on the scene, and this is the kind of era I like from him the most. We just want to see him kick some ass, have a bone-crunching good time, give us a few kind of likable characters, a good villain, and I think we're pretty happy. At least I'm the target audience for this. I love shit like this. I love shutting my brain off and just watching some freaking people's bones get broken and people get their asses kicked. I like it. Like a good old, you know, revenge kind of style action flick. And we're not going into these things for the acting or immersive plot or anything like that. So when DEA agent John Hatcher's partner is killed in an undercover bust, he retires and goes back to his hometown to find out it's being taken over by a Jamaican drug posse. We do get a pretty good setup with our main character, John Hatcher, and we get a pretty good little plot twist in this story. When John Hatcher's partner is killed, he starts to look inside himself, and he's burnt out. He's this burnt out DEA agent who's done almost everything to catch the bad guys. Everything he stands for, everything he's brought in to believe in, his morality, he's just sold. He wants to go home, settle with his family, reconnect with his family, find out who he is again. So it sets up as this little soul-searching kind of story, but we know that's very short-lived. But I like how they give us that setup, and I love seeing at the beginning scene Danny Trejo in this movie, a young Danny Trejo he gets his ass kicked by Seagal. It's fun seeing him in there, and he's laced through a lot of these 80s movies and 90s movies, so it's pretty good. It's pretty funny. And this is directed by Dwight H. Little, that you guys horror fans will know, who did Halloween 4, considered one of the fan favorites in the franchise. And, you know, he takes Danielle Harris and puts her in as Steven Seagal's niece here, and she's set up as this victim. This is what pushes Seagal in taking out this drug posse, when his niece gets really hurt and is in critical condition. Now, it does take its time to get to the action, but when it gets there, it's pretty good. There's some good car chases. There's some good fighting with Seagal, and, you know, watching him break bones and just do what he does. And his style of martial arts was always something that set him apart a bit. It was more of the way he fought with that Aikido style, using other people's force against them, breaking bones. It was this something unique to him, and all these action stars bring something, and that's what he brought. You're not going to get, like I said, you're not going to get the acting from him. You're not going to get, he's the same in every movie essentially, but his style of martial arts and that real gritty, bone-crunching violence, man. His movies were always extremely violent for their time. And I think Dwight H. Little handles the action quite well. I think he's quite a good action director, actually. You know, doing Halloween 4, a horror switch into action, I think he does a really good job in this. But one person who's wasted in this is Keith David. I mean, talk about an actor who's wasted. They bring Keith David in to be Steven Seagal's best friend, longtime friend and everything, but they kind of waste him in the action department. I mean, his character is more intimidating at times than Seagal is. That's because he's just a great actor, right? He's a really good character actor. But you never see this guy fight at all. It's just the Seagal show. And then you'll see like the one scene in the jewelry store where it's just Seagal, which is fine. That's what we come here for. But then you just see Keith David come up with a gun and hit one guy, and that's it. I mean, this guy was in They Live and did one of the longest fight scenes ever with Roddy Piper. You put him in this movie, you don't use him at all. They just didn't utilize him enough. That's what I thought. The villain's great, though. The villain in Screwface is great. He's got those crazy eyes. I really like what Basil Wallace did with this character. It made him pretty freaking darn crazy, if you ask me. And he's pretty intimidating, you know, leading this drug posse. And I like the little twist they added where they think this supernatural element to him where no one wants to screw with this guy because they think he has these, you know, supernatural powers and stuff. But it turns out he just has a twin brother. And so when Seagal kills one, it was nothing supernatural. It was just he had a twin brother, and then he takes out the other brother. But I like that little twist at the end that we find out about the character of Screwface. And I like how they show you the Jamaican culture when they go to Jamaica, the music and everything. They show you all this Jamaican culture so that there's not this stereotype. Like when they go there, they talk to the agent who's Jamaican. And Keith David's character is like, you know, thank you for showing me this, because until now, I thought all Jamaicans were just drug dealing criminals, you know what I mean? And so I like how they show you that other side of how the regular people live and how the real Jamaican culture is. I mean, that was important to put in that movie. If you didn't put that in that movie, holy crap, this movie probably would have been banned, especially looking at it from now. I don't think anybody be watching it, but it was a great choice to do that, and it should have been in there. That should have been. It was just great to see them at the nightclub and everyone dancing and just their culture and how they have fun and all this kind of stuff. But Marked for Death has always been a good time for me, guys. It's one of my favorite Seagal movies. And I always like the part in these films that pulls our hero into the story, so to speak. So when Daniel Harris, like his niece, gets hurt and they're at the hospital, and through this whole movie, Keith David's been warning him, you know, you got to get your head out of your ass. You know, things aren't like what they were here. I mean, this Jamaican posse has entered into their suburban life. You know what I mean? The suburban towns and going from the cities to the suburban, right? And, you know, he wants to do something. But when his niece gets hurt, there's a scene in the hospital where he just gives Keith David a look. That's all they need to know. And he said, okay, war is on now. And it's just the look on their faces. The camera's doing this, looking up at them. And I just like that. That just gets me jacked. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready for this movie. So it's awesome stuff. So I'm going to give Marked for Death from 1990 a B. Thank you for joining me on this review, guys. Please let me know in the comments what you think of Marked for Death. And if you like other action movie reviews, then check some other ones I've done right here, and we'll have a good time discussing about those too. And I will see you on the next video. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema, and I will see you in the movies, man. Cheers.